Hi, welcome back to another TerranScapes video. Today I wanted to give an update on the roads that I've been working on. If you've been following my videos, you saw that I posted a work in progress where I showed a previous version of the road. Oh, actually. Previous version of the road that was under discussion for some of the features that it had, and I got a lot of feedback on it, and I want to thank everybody especially for a lot of the great suggestions and ideas that I got off of that video. And I want to address a couple of them up front that I didn't accept and explain why. Let's see. A couple of the things that were suggested were adding wheel marks to the roads, and I had an interesting, brief chat with the terrain guy. And one of the things that he was mentioning with adding those is that we're looking often for an idealized road or an idealized river. This often comes up with waterways. Should they be blue? Should they be brown? Whatever. And I really appreciated that comment. I decided not to go with wheel tracks on the road, however, as I just felt like it just didn't quite fit the style I was looking for, and can often lock it to a time period, and I wanted to make these feel a little bit more flexible than being strictly for World War II or fantasy, that sort of idea. Another suggestion that was mentioned after looking at a couple of the videos was to not have a raised center, being that if it was drawn by a single horse and a horse-drawn carriage, very good point, that would wear down the center rather than produce the hump. And that some of the photos that I had shown in that previous video, have been altered through modern usage as opposed to in the ancient times. I decided to keep a rise in the center, thinking that, again, it's a little bit more towards that idealized look. And I'm kind of envisioning it as, wide carts and, men or horses going side by side, and so the center might not get as much wear. Is it historically accurate? I don't know, but that was the thought I went with, so I decided to keep the rise in the center. Another suggestion was made was to add some loose rocks around it, like they had come in from eroded sides or had, just rolling around. And I decided not to add loose rocks of any real size to this, as they're going to make casting difficult. When you have a rock sitting on the surface of something, what you end up with is a lot of undercuts, very strong undercuts underneath the rock because it's not embedded in the surface. And that's going to make casting a problem, as those are areas likely to trap bubbles, and also are areas where the rubber is going to fatigue more and tear, and you're going to end up with strange protrusions around the rock over time. So I'm trying to think of a mold that's going to be durable over time as well, so I decided to not go with that. Last comment that was suggested, actually there's a couple more. Last suggestion though that I decided to keep, the raised rocks on the road, and somebody thought that they might be a little too large to, that they would be actually like a hindrance or a hazard, that's what I'm looking for ancient wagons rolling across, they break wheels, whatnot. What I've tried to do is I've tried to lower those rocks down, get them a little closer to flush with the surface, but I decided to keep them as I just felt like they add a real visual element to it, and perhaps it's a hazardous road to travel on, I don't know, but I thought they add quite a bit to it. And finally, one of the things that was mentioned was increasing the variations of the surface and adding in depressions and that sort of idea. I've tried to do that on this, excuse me, and I think I've gone as much as I can without starting to look like it's not a road anymore. So what I'm going to try to do, because this is unfinished, I'd like to keep this piece as a master, as the first master of the set. And so that means I didn't want to paint it because I want to leave the texture exposed for the mold making process. But I found that if I hold it up to the light, I can get a fairly good profile of it, and I think you'll see the texture and the undulations without having to paint it to show that. And I wanted to just give that as a final look to the community and make sure I get a sense of, any glaring things that maybe I'm missing or final thoughts on it before I go to the final mold making process. But I feel pretty confident that this amount of wear on this road is going to give it a nice visual interest, and it's going to give me some flexibility, places I can add puddles, I'll show you those. And I've probably been gabbing too long about them, so let's take a look at them under the close cam. So if I shine it close to the light will cast enough of a shadow that I think we'll be able to pick up the topography of the piece. I tried to go in and I tried to raise the edges just a little bit more pronounced than they were on the original. Try to build those up slightly. And then you'll notice that I've put in, a more prominent ridge down the middle. I've tried to broaden it and raise its height. And I've put in a couple depressions. These are areas where I could leave them dry or possibly add in puddles, but I know when I tried my little experiment with a puddle before, it really needed a depression to sit in, so I wanted to give myself the flexibility to add that feature if I wanted to for some. You can see here that I've added a little rise in the middle of the road, so I've tried to build out some rougher areas to give it a little bit more visual variation when you look at it, so it doesn't look quite so flat and static, and a little bit more, sort of an unkept road. Not a lot more to look at really than that, except take a look at the rocks. So you can see the profile of the rocks now is very, very close to flush, but they still stick up just a hair, and that's going to give just enough of, I think, a visual appearance. It's going to be really nice to pick out with some paint, and it's going to, again, add a little bit of pop to them when they get finished. So that's what the master looks like currently. So anyway, cat. So I wanted to just wrap this up. This is a real quick video just to kind of show you a little work in progress, see how my mind is thinking, and once again to thank everybody who took the time to give me all of the feedback that I got in the previous video. I really appreciate it. And while I know no project is going to meet everybody's tastes, I'm hoping that this final iteration that I've come up with is going to, meet enough of the tastes that people will be able to find it a place on their tabletop when they game. So keep an eye on the channel for updates on this project. Once I pour the molds and I get the first casts out, I'll be back to show you those and give you some sense of how that mold making is coming along, as I haven't done any casting with rubber as the casting material yet. So I'm sure I'm going to learn a few tips, and I'll be happy to pass those along when I do. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.